So Dr. Vibhash is currently working as an associate professor at Jindal Global Business School, OP Jindal University. Dr. Vibhash, in his previous assignments, has been in leadership roles as Assistant Director of Teaching Learning Center and Course Coordinator of National Resource Center Ramanujan College under the scheme of Ministry of Education. Dr. Vibhash has been the founding editor of RIJBR, a UGC CARE listed journal. Dr. Vibhash also holds a PhD in organizational behavior and human resource management from University of Delhi. And his research interest lies in topics like employee engagement, effective use of organizational resources, organizational development interventions to augment the well-being of the organization's employee. Sir has published several research articles in renowned publishing houses like Emerald, Springer, Sage, InterScience Publisher, ABDC, Scopus, and SSCI Web of Sciences listed. Dr. Kumar reviews manuscripts for refereed journals of Springer and Sage publishers. Sir has also presented research papers and won the Best Paper Awards in national and international conferences in India and abroad. He has also contributed as author for the Institute of Lifelong Learning, University of Delhi, e-PG Pathshala, sponsored by the Ministry of Education for developing postgraduate teaching material, and National Mission on Education project sanctioned by the Ministry of Education. Sir has conducted numerous faculty development programs and workshops on topics like research methodology, academic writing, academic integrity, and also hands-on sessions on research tools in many institutions like the Kolkata University, Hansraj College, University of Delhi, South Campus, University of Delhi, Jamia Millia Islamia University, Christ University, Bangalore, James and Mames of IP University. We welcome you, sir. We are privileged that you could find time for us and come and conduct this session. So over to you, sir.
Thank you. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. It's absolutely wonderful to be back. And, I can see the programs running and enthusiastic participants here. So really grateful to Ramanujan College for inviting me for this faculty development program, more so a refresher program for commerce and management faculty members. So I just hope that the participants have gone through the videos on which today's session was based on. And I am sure you must be having questions and queries related to that, and even more. So what I'll do is I'll be just talking about a little bit. I'll be sharing my deck soon, and I'll be talking about some of the aspects in a detailed fashion, and then maybe I would invite you people to ask me questions, and in the process we learn together. All right. So basically, here what we are trying to build is, I was just looking into the research output of India in Scopus, and it was on the seventh position. So maybe we can co-create and do things so that we reach that first position quickly and soon. So not just in terms of the numbers, but also in terms of the quality, impact on the scientific community, as well as for the policy making, and for the good for the society, as well as since we are in the corporate in the commerce and management discipline, so definitely researches pertaining to corporates and how can companies do well can also feature into that. So basic agenda today is to talk about how we can publish in impactful journals, and do it in a way which shows that we are following the best practices. I would also like to put in here is that every researcher has their own way of putting things, writing up, presenting it. All right. Uh, so there is nothing which we can say is a hard line which needs to be followed for everyone. Um, we have seen that people do change the way of writing, and still it works because at the end of the day, they were able to showcase something which was novel, which was new, had some impact, and had some originality, and it helped the existing discipline to be enriched with new researches. Okay, so definitely there is no hard line though, but let me take you through some of the important aspects which I feel and I use for my own research, and I'm sure you must be doing it for your researches as well, which you can also share, and you can interject in between. If you have questions, you can definitely put it on the Q&A section, and then we can take it one by one. So this basic session is for that, to take up your doubts pertaining to anything related to what I have been talking about. All right. Though I'll be sharing my deck, and I'll be talking about some of the other good practices which can be followed. So let me just share my screen. I hope this is visible. Pardon? Yeah. Great.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the
Yes,
agenda
sir,
for
it's
today
visible.
is, yeah, I'll not be sharing the full screen. I'll just do it. I guess this is perfectly visible, right? Maybe I
Yes.
can increase the font a little bit. Yeah. So I'll talk about publication ethics, more so because what we have seen through the years is that we have done well in terms of improving on publication ethics, but has it been uh, done very well? That is something that needs to be questioned. So it's important that the faculty members know well what are the publication ethics, so that they are able to tell that to their students, and also use it for their own writing purposes. Then how to put in your evidences in academic writing, we will talk briefly about it, so that the problems of plagiarism or academic dishonesty does not come into picture. The third thing which I would want to talk today, briefly I'll do that, is the use of a reference management tool. Reference management tools are many. However, I prefer using Zotero for my reference management. And this is important, and I want to touch upon it because uh, it will help everyone to understand that how we were wasting so much of our time and resources on references, wherein we could have just used reference management tools for this purpose. Uh, then something, a problem which comes in, very often, and we really do not know how to take care of that, is understanding how to write the research articles. Okay, so it's not just important that we put in, we have done some analysis, and and we just put those analysis in our research paper, and then send it to the publishing houses, and they reject it. Okay, so there's an art of writing research articles. Okay, so it has to start with defining a problem, and also in the same pretext talking about how you're going to solve those problems. So in common parlance we call that gap spotting, and I'll also touch upon something which we call as problematization, in which we are looking beyond gap spotting, and we are looking forth to things which we generally don't do. That is asking original questions, asking uncomfortable questions, and challenging the status quo. All right, so that what we generally lack in the discipline. So that we call as problematization. So yeah, so about academic misconduct, I'll quickly take you through. Uh, and see, misconduct is basically not just the outcome of academics or the teachers. No, I believe that the system also helps us in doing misconduct or indulge in fraudulent practices. All right. So there can be many reasons for this, but primarily I believe in that uh, there has to be a system which should be created from the very grassroots level and not just at the end of it. And you say that, yeah, you have to publish and you have to publish in good journals before you get your, PhD accepted, or for example, you will be recruited to a better institution, or maybe you will be promoted. Okay, so tenure track is very common in Western nations. Here in India, we call them career advancement. So all these things, lead to a kind of pressure that is very much evident in the academics today, and therefore they, indulge in misconduct. And what is this really? What is this misconduct? So I'll just quickly tell you. You collude with other people, pay them money, and get your article published. These are called predatory journals. Uh, they are there right now as refereed journals, but maybe later on uh, they will not even be in the picture. So, predatory journals, the first red flag, and you see and you run away, is that when they ask you for a fee straight away, and then they just give you an acceptance in a day or two. This kind of a shady practice is something you should always run away. Because it is not doing you any good right now. Maybe even later on, if your CV is having those publications, they can be a problem related to it. All right. So there is a difference here between the journals that ask for payment straight away and then help you in publishing the article straight away, and the ones who ask for your article processing charges. Okay, which are first up. That means while you are submitting your article. So why it is that it is first up? It's because that there can be a lot of articles that they have to garner through. They have to look into, organize, and work with, and they do not have so much of resources. All right. So most of the good journals that they do, is the reason is that they want absolute serious candidates who believe that their research is appropriate for that particular journal, and then only they will submit the article. So article processing charges first up before the submission, or just in parallel with the submission, is fine, I would say, because this is the reason. And then there are some journals, because they don't have any agencies to support them for publication. They charge it for the publication purposes, to get the DOI numbers or get the plagiarism check done and all those things. So they ask for this APC at the end. That means when your article is getting published. More so, I don't see, most of the journals today are, you can freely submit there and get your article published there. There is one more thing which I wanted to highlight here, is about the gold access, or open access articles. Every journal is now accepting that. The only point which should be highlighted is that those journals will ask you to pay an amount which will take care of their publication and other issues if they have to make it free. So if you're looking to publish in open source, then you have to pay an extra amount here. All right. So these are some of the challenges which can come forth. Though, if you are looking for, say, if you are having a funding agency to fund your work, maybe then you can look out for that. Okay. So yeah, one more quick suggestion here can be that uh, there can be a categorization of academics or professors who absolutely want to do research. So you can call them scholarly academics and let them do research. And those who are not interested in research, say for example, they're more interested in teaching, can be asked to do teaching. Okay, so more of academics who is into teaching. However, this is not a fine line, or there is no black and white over here, because nowadays the competition is tough. um, Even the best of academics would want their people, or the faculty members, to come and publish, because they say that if you publish and if you know the recent changes and developments in the area, you would be a better teacher, because in that sense you will be able to cite some good examples in the classroom, some things that are really happening, or the things, perspectives that are really changing, can only come when you are interested in doing research in your area or domain. So yeah, so these can be the challenges in publication, which we need to maneuver and move forward. um, I'll quickly tell you about what I really meant here. So I'm talking about publication ethics, and I quickly want to tell you that those research participants, either you're looking for a survey research, or you're doing your experimentation on the human subjects as well as the animals. If I can bring in here, you must ensure, for the humans, you must ensure that uh, their identity is kept anonymous. I think somebody is doing this annotation. Can you, Parul, can you please take care of that? Yeah, thank you. Uh, okay, somebody would want to draw here. So that's amazing. Okay, I'll just not waste any more time here. So you need to look into that. The participants are anonymous, and their data is kept confidential. All right, very quickly, this is important because uh, you cannot make the identity of the participant open, because there can be other things, other issues that can come up. So this is related to the research participants. Also, there has to be a research committee, a higher education committee, which looks after the ethical aspects. Whenever a project is sanctioned, or uh, a project is sponsored, then in that case, or even for the PhD students of a given university, they may plan their research design in a way which helps take data from the research participants. So those research participants, how they are going to be, confronted with. I mean, how would you go and tell them that I have to take your data? How would you keep the data? And how would you ensure anonymity? And every other thing, are you taking a consent, informed consent, that we call, from the research participants or not? Nowadays, if you just submit any article to a good journal, they'll ask you all these questions. They'll ask you if the informed consent was given to the participant. That means you cannot just uh, ask them and coax them into doing or filling up surveys, or doing researches. You cannot do that. So you'll have to tell them that this is for the research purpose, and your data will be used in this way, and you have absolute control on how you can leave the survey or experiment midway if you do not like it. All right. So all these things should be approved by the ethics committee of one's institution. Okay, if there is no ethics committee, then there should be one, as per the UGC regulation 2018. Okay, so there has to be one ethics committee who approves all these things. This forms part of your publication ethics. Other than that, about the data, I'll quickly try and tell you that whatever data and however you are collecting those data sets, what process has been used needs to be provided. So you have to disclose all the methodological details and tell them, yeah, this is how the data has been collected. Tell them if you are using any secondary source. So mention the sources from where you have generated the data. And there is absolutely no harm in telling, what is the citation and how you would reference the whole data set. All right. One more thing which I wanted to tell here. I think there is some issue.
Uh, so if I could just make an announcement,
Yeah, please.
I request please not to annotate on the screen. And I'm shocked that all of us are from the same, backgrounds, and we are all faculty members. And still, if someone is doing like this, it's, I would say, it's not acceptable. And please, I request, you people are disturbing the session. And for people who are joining it seriously, I think for them, I would request not to create any kind of disturbance. If anyone wants to leave, they're free to leave. Thank
I
you.
mean, we can do that. I think there is some
Yes,
um,
we've done the settings. So
perfect. I think there's a question, I guess. Mr.
if
Satyen
you want, we
on
can
here.
take it in the end.
Uh, okay, as you say, or you can just put it on the chat box, Mr. Satyendra. All right, and we'll take it after my session. All right. All right. So I was just talking about how you can, what are the precautions that needs to be taken for the data analysis, any methodology that you have used, or any research design that you're going to use. Please mention how you have used it, because if somebody wants to replicate it and get the results, can get it easily. All right. So also it's very important to preserve the data. Somebody, if they're saying that please you can destroy the data sets, don't do that, because nowadays what is happening while you're going to submit your article to any reputed journal, they are asking if the data is available for dissemination. So maybe there can be two things that you can do. One way you can yourself put the data and get a DOI. DOI is digital object identifier. One thing that you can do here. The second thing, and you can share the DOI with the publication house so that they can see that, okay, the data is there. And the second thing which you can do is you can submit your data as the supplementary file while you are submitting your article. All right. So both the things can be done and equally useful. Nowadays, you will see that data needs to be provided along with your research work. So do not just let loose the data. Please preserve it, keep it for yourself, uh, and that's how you proceed. About authorship, I would like to quickly tell you what is the process and how you can keep a check here. So we are always talking about collaboration. We are talking about how can we collaborate with people. So also, in some of the projects that are funded, you will see there are many research associates working. Okay. So for each of the research, you do not want everyone to be the authors. Okay. This is not how the authorship is determined. So if you look into the COPE guidelines, Committee on Publication Ethics guidelines, they say that the authors are the one who have conceptually and in an intellectual way, they have contributed something to the article. Maybe some of the journals, they even ask you what aspect of this article have different co-authors worked on. So I'll make it clear, if you are getting the data collected, so if you're doing this data collection work, you're not an author. Okay, you can just be given an acknowledgement that you have collected the data. If you are working on the data and you have found something meaningful, or you have written the research questions, or you have found the research gaps, then yes, you can say that yes, you're an author. Otherwise, not. And precisely this is how you decide on who is going to be the first author and so on, because the first author, the second author is determined, the positioning is determined on the basis of the contribution done. All right, and this is how it should go. Also, there is a corresponding author, we all know that, who will correspond with the journal where the article has been submitted, and that corresponding author has responsibilities in the sense that you will have to take consent from all the co-authors. You cannot do it all alone. So if somebody is a co-author, then you have to ask all the required documentation that needs to be carried out. So the journal directly contacts the corresponding author, not all the authors, for issues related to publication. All right. Now the second question which comes in here is, how do you determine the right journal for your article, for the work that you have done? So I believe that this is a process which does not come at the end of uh, writing your research article. It should be done at the very beginning, meaning thereby that you start writing. So once you're doing the experiments or you're doing the surveys, or you have understood what my research gap is, and you have drafted your research questions, then you can select that, okay, this is the home to where I would want my publication to feature. So how do you select this right journal? This was about the time, and how do you select it? So basically, you look into some of the articles that have been published in your domain and what you are working on, and see what are the which are the journals where your the domain of articles which you are, say for example, you're going into behavioral finance, so maybe you would want to look into Journal of Behavioral Finance, all right, or maybe any other journal, depending on how do you want to proceed. Uh, the journals which are A star categories in ABDC, or A in ABDC, they will always look for uh, articles that are comprehensive, rigorous, and have a robust methodology. All right. So one thing is very important, that if you're looking for A star publication, if you want to do it right from the very beginning, then then do it in a way which is rigorous. That means maybe you can have different studies to find the same thing, and also you would want to have different samples. So cross-sectional studies are generally not considered in top-notch journals, because cross-sectional studies, when you are collecting data from at one time period, okay, so you have a questionnaire that you have designed, or you have taken it from a published source which is standardized, you can absolutely get your work published, but they would not want that only uh, data is generated from one time period. So you may want to look into for different time periods, so you can convert it into longitudinal studies, or maybe you would want to look into the qualitative part. You can do a mixed methodology study wherein you are doing a qualitative plus quantitative, or maybe you can increase the validity that we call as incremental validity by uh, collecting data on it from a different sample in a different time period. So there can be rigorous ways to generalize the findings, and this is how. So if you have to select the journal that you're working on, high impact, low impact, and so on and so forth, you will have to also understand that what are the criteria for selection. Also, it is great if you can look into the articles that have been already published in such journals. So they act as a barometer for us, because the kind of articles they accept, so they would still want the same rigor to be followed later on also. So it's a good idea to read articles that have been published and in those journals. All right. Now, impact factor, I would like to tell what is the best impact factor where you can try publishing your article, and so on and so forth. So impact factor is basically the citation, in a given year. So maybe citation in 2021, total number of citation, divided by publication done in all the publications, okay, for that particular journal, done in 2019 and 2020. So if you have to find out the impact factor of a journal, you do it that way. And impact factors for a journal are published by Clarivate. So this is how it's done. You can also look in for site score, that has a different formula, and that's given by Elsevier. It has a different formula. All right. So this is how you go in for the selection. Also, uh, investigate part, if you look into closely, I'll tell you articles um, that have already been published or are coming from the same domain uh, showcase that there is nothing original that you're working on. All right. So it's important that and then also understand that the literature which you're looking at, you have to see if things that you are catering to, that means whatever your research question is, has that not been answered before? Because if that has been answered before, then you're not doing anything original. All right. And we generally look into articles that even come in RIJBR. They're mostly like that this study has been done before in Western countries, and now I'm replicating the same study on a different sample. Uh, so so that kind of study or that kind of research design generally doesn't look like it's originally if you're not finding a new dimension. All right, so this can be thought about. Now, most of us have this problem with the peer review process, and I'll not say that I don't have an issue. We always feel the pinch when our article gets rejected, and but we need to follow some of the guidelines so that there is no desk rejection. Okay, so it's important. I'll come to the peer review process very soon. Just in order to mention that how can you save yourself from desk rejection? First thing which uh, everyone should understand here is that we have to write our research in a way we are telling an incident or we are telling a story. All right, it takes up from the introduction and it reaches where you conclude. Okay, and that should be linked to each other. Okay, what we generally look at and why the articles are rejected is that you do not have a connect with what you are introducing the things with and what your conclusion is. uh, I'll be very open here. What happens is we write things in um, closed compartments. Say for example, we start writing uh, literature review not knowing what we have to review. Okay, first thing. Then we start doing the analysis because we have collected the data, and then we keep on writing our discussion, conclusion, and anything. And out of anywhere comes the objective section where you are writing that, okay, why I'm undertaking this research, because these are my objectives. Now please understand, gone are those days when such articles will be published, because there has to be a connect right from the introduction till the conclusion. So how do you connect your article? So first thing is that ask yourself if this research has not been done before, or it is offering some originality, novelty, or the implications which come out of this research, will it have some implications for the government, for the policymakers, even not that, then for the corporates, for individuals, for the society, whatever discipline that we are taking in. I mean, this is very, very important. So how do you put in your introduction? And I'm talking from the point that I would go in when I'm writing my introduction. So it's mostly about what the article is all about. So first thing, maybe you can talk about the topic itself, the first paragraph. From the next paragraph itself, you have to talk about what is not there in the literature. Okay, or what is there but there is a gap. What is there in the literature but it's falls short. Okay, and that is how you start understanding that yes, this is the research gap. Okay, something that has not been done already, or something that has been done but not done in a way which I am taking forth. So that is how you realize or understand or identify the gaps. And it's important that right from the second or third paragraphs you start discussing on the gaps. Okay, that means cite those articles that are close, that have worked on it, but they have not addressed the issue that you are going to address. And then quickly therein after it, that means the next paragraph, maybe you can just introduce that. So these are my research questions coming straight away from the gaps. And those research questions are the ones that I'm going to study in this research article, or find out how I'm going to study that. So after putting in your research gaps, some authors do this, that they do not put the research questions in the introduction, they put it on in the conceptual or theoretical development. So that is also perfectly all right. Why I'm saying it, because introduction is that one piece of information that is read first, and that is something which sells your article after the abstract. Absolutely, abstract is important, then comes the introduction. So if we put in the things that we are going to do, then it definitely seals the purpose. The second thing after that, when you're putting your research questions, and then what you can talk about is what are the contributions of your research work, or maybe even not that. If you want, you can say that what are the contributions that we are looking forward in our article. So contributions of the research you can talk about in one paragraph, and then maybe the last paragraph of the introduction can just talk about how you have structured your entire article. Okay, and then it can definitely go to conceptual framework, theoretical framework. It's important that we if we are, so I'll come to that later, but let me just touch upon it here, that if there is a research problem uh, which is understood not through gap analysis but through problematization, that means you're not just looking at what has not been done earlier, you are saying that whatever has been done earlier, or on whatever assumptions that those things are based upon, you are refuting it. Okay, or say for example, investors, if we talk about, they were earlier said to be rational. Okay, then came a point where people called it that the investors are irrational. Okay, and then came the concept of biases in decision making. All right, then Thaler came up with the work for which he got the Nobel Prize also, was that this irrationality is also systemic. Okay, so what you're doing is you're questioning the assumptions, and it makes it interesting. And this is just one subject area which I'm talking about. There are a lot of things that can be talked about. Okay, right now what we are looking at is because of COVID, the things which we used to do has changed completely. Okay, so all the assumptions that were that dictated, as in what is there in the theory or what researches has been done, maybe those assumptions can now be questioned because of COVID. One such example is that we are absolutely having no problem working from home. All those knowledge workers who are working from home, they're having absolutely no problem working from home. Okay, the work is getting done even better than it was done when we were working from offices. So maybe we can ask questions regarding workplaces, we can ask questions regarding the time which is set for a work, 9 to 5 or something like that. And you will see gradually this is something which has been which is being talked about and in the discussion more and more. Elon Musk, he talked about it. He said that those employees who don't want to come to the work, please stay away from Tesla. So it also comes from how the culture of the workplace is. All right, like Airbnb says that we would not even go for hybrid working, we would just go for work from home. So it depends on what and how the organizations are willing to get the work done. All right, what the theories and researchers say, and we can talk about. I just read one piece of article in Harvard Business Review from I guess Dr. Pereira, Professor Pereira. It was about and the research was about, if the meetings are productive. So can we have no meeting days in a week or months for organization? No meeting days, because their data suggests that the day when there is no meeting in the organization, uh, people are more productive. All right, and there can be many other issues that can be talked about. So what we are really looking at is questioning the assumptions. Now coming back to peer review process, I'll quickly tell you here that how should it be. Every journal has this peer review process, and I'll tell you that it's a fairly difficult process to have reviewers, because it's a work which reviewers do. Mostly they are not paid for it. So you understand that reviewing an article may take a week or maybe more than that time for a person to review if the review is done well. Now the next point is review should be blind in nature. There are now questions on it, because if it's blind in nature, then reviewers are writing almost anything and everything. So there is a debate going on whether the reviews shouldn't be blind. That means the authors know who the reviewers are, and the reviewers know who the authors are. So that way the reviews can be more true. So this is a new debate that is coming in. Also, um, handling editor reviews the manuscript first, and then internal editors look into. So how is the peer review? If I look into the role of the reviewer, the reviewer's role is to provide non-biased information to the authors. Non-biased in the sense that what you do or what your methodology is, you're not just saying that this is the superior methodology. Okay, you're also looking into what the authors have done in a absolutely non-biased way. And the most important part of accepting, once you have accepted that yes, you are a reviewer, then you have to be giving reviews in a time-bound, accurate, justifiable manner, because based on your reviews, the journal article editor, takes a decision. All right, there are many reviewers, and they can be many in the sense that mostly the journals practice, the best practice is to have two. So they can be more, three reviewers also, uh, generally two. And if there is a, if the reviewers have given a review in an opposite way, completely opposite way, then maybe a third reviewer can be called, and their views can also be taken. So the whole review process is a time-taking process, because it may go in stretch in from months, 6 months to a year, and this is commonly what we see. However, if the reviewers feel that there is any kind of a misconduct in the whole process, then they can report it to the editors. Okay, I'll just move from here, because these are the things that we have talked about. Plagiarism, something which we have discussed in abundance. Okay, yeah, so is reference management a part of this whole FDP? Parul, are you guys having this session?
No, we are not specifically having the session on Zotero and Mendeley. Yeah, we've
Okay,
not
so
posted that.
I'll
We
just
are,
give a,
yeah, we
okay, so
have we
go
have
on.
just shared the videos for effective writing, effective academic writings.
Okay, great. So meanwhile, we can take questions, one couple of questions. Somebody has it, and then
Yes, yes, we have one question here. What by Dr. Shilpi Saxena? What is to be done if the journal editorial team doesn't provide response regarding review of a paper even after their defined time period of review process, and the author wants to get the paper published in the same journal?
okay, this is amazing question, and this happens to all of us. I can accept that. So best way is to just keep on writing correspondences to the email editor. Sorry, the journal editor. Keep on writing the correspondences to get a reply from them. Every, I'll put it this way, that every journal has its timeline of the whole process. However, as I have said, this is not entirely in our hands, right? uh, Editors hands, because you will have to go to the reviewers and you have to take time from them, and it's not always like that they are free for us to do the review. So it takes time. Sometimes it may happen that the reviews, the editor gets the reviews, but the editors themselves are not very happy with the reviews, and then they go in for other reviewers. So this takes time. Yeah. So it's important that if we are not getting any response from the editor also, then maybe contacting the publishing house can be a good way of doing it, because you have to escalate the issue if the timeline has long passed, long due, then this is the best practice to continue the correspondence, because after investing a year or so in in one of the journals, if that doesn't come out, or if you have to take the article, withdraw the article, then it's very painful. So I do understand this is a problem, this is a grave problem. But there can be issues regarding the whole process, which in itself is time taking. So keep on writing the mail. I think this is the advice that I can give. Yeah.
Okay, so we have another question by Kamalakanta Nayak. Sir, what is predatory journal in research publication?
Yeah, thank you for bringing it up. uh, I'll try to answer it this way. So any journal, any journal, and I can I have myself experienced it, that how, if you are in this domain, you get calls, you get emails which tell you that they will publish your article, and that journal where they are promising to publish your article is a UGC listed or a Scopus listed, okay, and they promise you to publish it in 2 days or 3 days or even 15 days, this is something which is a red flag. Okay, so somebody taking money for your publication, for the publication, if it's not article processing and it's not clearly mentioned on the website of the particular journal, please stay away from those journals, because they are predatory journals who are just interested in your money. They're running paper mills. Okay, please don't go to them, because after a while, even if they are UGC listed or Scopus listed, they will be delisted very quickly. So you don't just run away from those journals. So predatory journals are those who are publishing your article without any review process. Okay, and a review process or a peer review process, blind peer review process, takes time. It's not that you're going to immediately get responses from the reviewers. So if any journal is telling you that they're going to publish it in 1 day or 2 days or even a week, that is when you have to understand that this is a red flag. Please go out of it. Generally, commonly, if you look into, the first decision that you get is from a journal. If the article is being rejected, then it should be done within the first 10 days. But again, there are different specifications to a journal. So the editor gives a decision generally in the first 10 days. All right. So decision is different, but acceptance decision, rejection decision is fine, but acceptance decision within first few weeks shows. And if they are taking money from you for publication, then it's a predatory journal. Please run away. Yes.
Okay, sir, Dr. Dipali is asking how to choose a journal.
All right, very good question. So I'll just take you through, just let me share my screen. Okay, so these are the common indexing websites. Scopus is one. Then you have Web of Science, Shimago is other, and there are others. All right, but commonly we believe in them. Also, since we are from commerce and the management, so ABDC journalist. Okay, how do you select if if you have to set out your article in a particular journal? So what you can do is, Web of Science offers you this match manuscript thing. Okay, so you can do that. Absolutely, you can put in your title and put in your abstract and find the journals which are suitable. So what they use is some of the keywords so the keywords that is provided in your title and abstract is matched with the keywords that are of the articles already published in those journals. Okay, so this is the way they will help you in finding the journal. So this is a very good. Otherwise, what you can do is you can also find manuscript matcher for Sage, for Elsevier, for Emerald, and for all others. You will find manuscript matcher. Though I'm not a very good believer in this, what I generally do is I look for those seminal work or original work in good journals, and then see if I can target those relevant journals. All right. Now if you just look into what you can do for your discipline, just say for example Shimago, right? So you can put in the publisher's name, but this is not what I want. I wanted something else. Let me see. Okay, if I have to search the sources, yeah. So I'll go by the subject area, right? This is a subject area, and maybe I would want to look into say management, right? So this business management and accounting. Say for example, I want to publish my work in the journals which are pertaining to OB and HR, and their Scopus listers as well, because I'm looking into the Scopus database. So I'll click this, okay, and I'll apply. So I got 240 results, right? So so you see site score is provided because this is Scopus goes for site score. So 24.7 is pretty high. That way you can look into site score as one of the criterion which you can refer to for selecting a particular journal. Or maybe you would want to see your article domain area, okay, and then you can choose your journal. So it's best practices. Look into what you are doing, what research questions you are offering. Say for example, an article is about organizational culture, and you're working on organizational culture, so maybe you would want to see which journals have highest cited work in the domain of organizational culture, and then maybe you can select that journal. So how do you select it? This question in itself is tricky, as well as not having one answer. You can choose the journals on the basis of the keywords or the publication. Also, you would want to say for example, this is personal psychology, right? So I'll just take it, personal psychology, and I put it on Shimago. Okay, so personal psychology and journal of personal. So I was looking for this, so I'll click on this. So it has a H index of 152. What does it mean? It means that 152 of their articles, okay, I'll repeat, 152 of their articles, that means articles that have been published in personal psychology, have been cited 152 times. So all those 152 articles have been cited at least for 152 times or more, which is huge. Okay, so that way, even if you look into the H index, you can determine if you would want to go into for, and you can see the coverage is 48 to 2021. You won't want to go to the home page. What I was really talking about is this. Now, these in applied psychology or in organizational behavior and HR, this is Q1, that is quartile 1 journal. That means the best journals. One of those journal is personal psychology. So you may want to look into the further aspects of it. Maybe you would want to look into the site score. See, you can see the citation per document and if it's improving or not, or impact factor, or even look into your matching, matching of the manuscript, and based on that you can decide for yourself which journal you are going to refer to. Though it's a process, it has to be done in a defined way, and I have listed down all the aspects that I look for when I am searching for Akhil.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah.
So there is one question by Dr. Shivakumar. My humble suggestion is that we have National Online Article Repository, which is based on the principles like 100% transparency and merit. Nowadays, most of the journals, including UGC Care List journals, lacks transparency. What is your suggestion?
I think you're not wrong on whatever you're saying. It's correct, because however, I would like to defend UGC here for this purpose. At least they have started doing this, right? Earlier there was whatever you're citing. I did not. Yeah, I have not come across that. Can you repeat that, Parul, again?
Yeah. So he says that there is a National Online Article Repository, which is based on the principle of 100% transparency and merit.
Okay.
But the journal nowadays, they are lacking transparency. So what is your suggestion?
Even the one which you have talked about, I'll have to look into it carefully, that what methodology do they use to ensure transparency. Transparency here is again a domain which can be debated by anybody, and they can put in their line of arguments here. as UGC has its own methodology. However, we also understand that predatory journals do get access to the UGC list, which they, or cloned journals get into that list and then they remove it. So there is a mechanism through which journals that are predatory and have creeped into the system are removed. So I'm sure, if we just, if how do we define transparency? First of all, we have to understand that, is it the review process, or is it that what we are talking about is the editorial process? So I'll tell you like this. uh, there is an institution that I'll call Committee on Publication Ethics. So they do check all the issues pertaining to publication ethics, and there are a lot of issues that come up. I have just mentioned some of them. So in order to ensure transparency is there, and like ethics, this cannot be pure science. All right. So good practices are the ones which we can always talk about, good practices, but we can always question on the transparency part, and this can be a long debate. So we at least we have to trust the UGC in the whole process, that they have at least started this process, which was not there earlier on. And almost any journal was refereed, and still it is refereed, but there is one criteria, that is, okay, it's in the UGC care list, so that means it has gone through some due diligence. So at least that is there. So maybe we can meet offline and we can talk about this later. We can take some other question. Yes.
Okay. So Dr. Jhankar Arora says that what should be the maximum time that we should wait for? Because we also have time boundaries and we want to get our papers published in time.
Okay, the common waiting time, I would put it, is 6 months to 1 year. If it goes beyond 1 year, you can definitely write to the editors multiple times what is happening with your journal article. And I always suggest that please take time in your hand and then submit the journal articles in the journal, because if you're looking for a 1 month publication time, then you're looking for more of predatory journals too. If you're looking for a 6 months, yes, some of the, like, I was reading, one of the editors of a very famous journal uh, wrote a post on LinkedIn. The person was talking about that the standard review process takes 3.5 to 4 months at best. Okay, so generally every journal should try to at least get a decision by the 6th month. Okay, if everything is all right, it's fine, and goes like that. So yeah, 6 months is the right times. You can start mailing. One I'll just tell you my experiences. Once after 7 or 8 months, I just wrote it to the editor about the review process. So even the editors do get shocked. They get irritated, because they get a lot of such correspondences. So the person said that, please, if you want it to be done in a more hurried way, then please go and look out for a different journal. So even that is being said in this domain of publication. So we have to bear the brunt. So this is how it is. So 6 months to 1 year is the timeline, and after that maybe you can keep on pestering. Yes.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Sir, Dr. Neeraj has also got a question. How can we convert organizational problems into research problems effectively? Exactly what steps should we pursue for the purpose?
I think this is a very, very good question. So what we are looking at is from the point of view of the problems that we are currently facing, the organization that the problems they are facing, and how can we make it a research question. So I'll tell you like this. One example I just like to put in. I was since it's an organization where I'm working in, so not the current organization, even the organizations before. So students generally what they try to do is they try to copy the whole information. When you give them some kind of an assignment or anything else, tend to copy the things from the internet because they consider it to be authentic and they put it for the assignment purpose. And we all know that this happens. This is a common practice. Okay. And since not all of us are equipped with, plagiarism checking devices, we will, or the software, we will not be able to do that. So what can we do? What can we do about it? How can we remove plagiarism from the basic things from the assignment, and also help the students understand that this is a practice which should not be followed. Okay, so for that I did some research. Okay, I started, okay, let me do some research on plagiarism. How does it come from? Where does it come from? And what are the attitudes that determine that, okay, plagiarism is fine? Okay, so as I tried to investigate more into that, I found that the students in their senior secondary or in their schools were told that, why don't you take the information from the books, because the books provide authentic information, and it's something which is completely there. We all know that the things that have been taken from the book, word to word or verbatim, is considered to be authentic, and anything else is considered not right. So this was one of the reasons how the attitude towards plagiarism develops. So answering your question, we have to take up issues which are near to us, and in fact not just where we are working, also which are in our domain of work. Say for example, we are say behavioral researchers, so maybe we would want to see, I was talking about some of the examples, like should the meetings be done or not, how frequently the meetings should be done, or the questions like should the employers mail you at odd times and you're requested or you're asked or ordered or directed to reply back at any time of the day or night. So is technology invading into your personal life? So maybe I am more of a positive psychologist and behavioral scientist, so I look into these problems, that what can really affect the well-being of the individual employee. So that way the problems like uh, pollution in Delhi or elsewhere, or the problems like, or maybe the opportunities like the electric vehicles and other things, can also be simultaneously thought about and can be a part of our research endeavor. Okay, I hope I have answered your question.
Yes, sir. So would you like to take any more questions?
I can take some more. Yeah.
Okay.
Then maybe I'll talk about.
Okay, so Rajshri says, Dr. Rajshri, how can someone search for journals if they are publishing for the first time? I think this you've already elaborated upon, and there are a number of ways that sir has told us. For predatory journal also, there is a question, are all paid journals predatory? There's one supplementary question that has come. So should we assume that if we have to pay, that it's coming under the category of predatory?
I think I've already explained this, but I'll explain it once again so that it's very, very clear to all of you. Not all the journals that ask for APC or article processing charges are predatory. Okay. First, those articles that are asking for APC, first up, this is something which I'm saying it again, that first up, that means once you're submitting your article, if you're asked by the journal to submit an amount, then it means, and if the journal is good, then it means that the journal is looking for less number of articles to process. Okay, so that they are looking for only those articles that have confidence that they will go through, and therefore they are paying. All right, so this is a way you deter, or it's a deterrent for all the article submitters who just submit it for the sake of submitting their article. So this is first level, where when I don't consider APC to be bad. The second is when your article gets published or is accepted for publication, they ask for your publication fees. So that is also not predatory, because most some of those journals do not have funding available. And as you all must be knowing that journals can get through this process through funding, because they need funds for publication. There are many types of expenses that come. So even the journals that ask for your APC after the acceptance, and they have followed all the due diligence, all the process, all the review process is followed, then that cannot be considered to be predatory. Otherwise, those journals are asking for your money in the very first go, and they tell you that within a week your article is going to be published. Then those are the journals you have to be really wary of. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, sir. Dr. Tarun also asked the same question: how to search a good journal. That has also been answered by sir. We have a question by Anand MB, that what are the cloning issues in research? If you could elaborate on what are the
I
cloning
didn't get
issues.
the question. Cloning of the journals?
He just wrote a statement, cloning issues in research. So maybe Anand MB, you can elaborate your question, and then I think sir will answer that, right?
So maybe see UGC care list of cloned journals, group 1, group 2. Please go and check. They always go for this alert thing. All right. Cloning, if we are talking about the cloning of the journals, then this is cloning means what? There is a published, there's a renowned journal, and now that is being cloned by some other journals with the same name, and you're submitting it there. You are just getting into fraudulent. So you pay there or do whatever, that will not be considered. You may be very happy that, okay, I got my article published in one of the best journals, but maybe wherever you're submitting, that can be cloned. All right, so keep looking for those websites. So this is how you can be aware of the cloning issues. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, sir. Durai Sami says that which sources of impact factor consider for API score in commerce?
Okay, I'll answer this. So the best and the only source which gives you the impact factor is Clarivate. Okay, earlier it was Thomson Reuters, now it is Clarivate. Any other, from any other source, if you're getting it, you can keep on getting it. So they can make any journal with 10 plus impact factor. So that is not accepted. So you look into the Clarivate website or nothing but Web of Science Group publication. This gives you authentic impact factor. That's it. No other place.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. There's a question by Kirupa Ananda, but it's not very clear. So I would request him to rewrite and rephrase the question. Okay, Dr. Rakesh Kumar says, Vivash sir, please suggest how can we do exhaustive review of literature about our topic of research?
Okay, I'll quickly tell you. Thank you for this question. So please go to Google Scholar. Okay, let me do it in incognito screen quickly. So Google Scholar. So say for example, use this 3 dash here. Click on this. Go to advanced search. All right, and look into any of the topics. Say for example, workplace spirituality. Okay. So if you're looking for all the words, then do this. If you're looking for exact phrase, then put it here. Maybe spirituality at work. So whatever your topic of literature is, spirituality at work. Yeah. With at least one of the words, maybe you would want to see those articles that have used say PLSM. Okay, so at least one of the words. Without the words, you may or may not. If you want any word to be removed, you can. So now you have these articles. Now you want, if you already know the author's name, whose articles, so that means somebody who is the pioneer in the research in workplace spirituality. If you know the author's name, you can put it here. Or if you know that where the best articles have been published, you can put it here. Though nobody is asking you to put in, because if you put in the journal's name here, what will happen is that it will be showing the results only for that particular journal. All right. So maybe you would want to know more or see the publication in some other journals as well. So this option you can choose only when you know that, okay, you're targeting a particular journal, then you can put in here. And this one is also important, I would say, because you don't want dated researches. Dated researches are those that have been carried out 20 years back, and you're citing them and telling that on the basis of those articles you are reaching a conclusion. So that is dated, and your article can be rejected on that pretext. That means please be authentic, please be original, as well as contemporary. So yahan pe what you can do is you can just write in some years, maybe 2015 to 2022. So only those articles that have been published in between these years will come. So this is advanced search in Google Scholar. Okay, this can give you a good first-hand number of articles that have been in your domain. So this is how you start, talking about your research. Once you search it, you get 653 response. If you don't do these things, you will get 1 lakh or 2 lakh or even more than that, responses. So even getting to those articles will be very, very difficult. Now you may use some inclusion exclusion criteria on the basis of what you really want from the article. So you can put in more keywords so that some of the articles that you want to absolutely do the research on is provided here. All right, you can also go to Scopus and do the same thing. All right, so you can search for article title, abstract keyword. So here the searching is a little different. So for example, I was talking about workplace spirituality. I'll put it workplace spirituality. So what I have done here is I've used quotations here. Okay, double quotations. That means only these words which are inside the bracket, the quotes will come. If you have a synonym, okay, to this, so you can use or, all right, and then you can use, say, spirituality at work. Okay, and then close it. So that way, if you want anything else related to it, say for example, you want to see you want to do a meta-analysis or do anything else you want to do later on, and you want to see the relationship between workplace spirituality and job performance, then you can use the add search field. All right, so click on add search and just write job performance. Okay, so this is just the searching thing which I'm talking about now. These are the things. Maybe you want to add more of those, you can do it. So this is what you have to do, and just click on search. So once you search, you get 17 documents. All right. So it's very good for doing any kind of meta-analysis or otherwise. So what you get here is all those articles that are listed. Those journals are listed in Scopus. So the first level of reliability of any article is established, and you will always see that you tend to cite only articles that are in Scopus. So that is also a good method. So these articles you can download if you have an access to those articles, you will be able to download them. Otherwise, you'll have to download it one by one and do the so literature review. First thing which is very important is how do you search for the articles that you're really looking for, and not anything and everything. So maybe these two are good sources to begin with, Scopus and Google Scholar. Yes.
Thank you, sir. We have questions flowing in. So should I take it?
Yeah, please take questions. I think
Okay.
I think I have questions from the very beginning. Anyways, yeah.
Okay, so Dr. Renuka again asked how many days to wait for getting an approval, paper 1 submitted. So I think this has been answered by Dr. Vibhash already. Okay, Dr. Neeraj Kumar says that what is paraphrasing plagiarism? How can we refrain from this?
Okay, so there's nothing called paraphrasing plagiarism. I'll put it this way. Paraphrasing is one of the methods wherein you are putting in evidence to your research work. Paraphrasing is that. Okay, what it is. If you do it, you will clear your stance that you are not plagiarizing or you are not using similar words. So say for example, you have read something in a particular journal article, you have read something, and the common ways in which I have seen my students doing, and even some of the academics working on, like they copy the information and put it on their text, and then they try to use some thesaurus or dictionary for synonyms, and they change the synonyms, and this way they think that the similarity thing has been taken care of. Okay, so this is not paraphrasing. Paraphrasing is when you are reading the entire article or maybe a part of the article and then trying to write the same thing, essence remains the same, but in your own words. Okay, that is what paraphrasing is. And if you are able to relate to the original writing, your writing and the original writing, if they relate too much, correlate too much, that means the words usage have remained same, then you have not paraphrased it correctly. So when you paraphrase it, you don't see the original work, you just understand that okay, this is the crux of the matter, and this is what I have to write in my own words. So that is paraphrasing. And remember, Turnitin or any other site which goes in for plagiarism detection, um, they do it by using similarity only. Okay, they look into how many similar words that have already been published are there in your own text. So that similarity is then taken care of if you are going for uh, paraphrasing. And remember, once while you are paraphrasing, you should also cite the author. That means anything which is not your work and you have taken from somewhere else is not your work, and therefore you need to cite it. And then the whole process is complete. Then you are not plagiarizing. So paraphrasing, citation, referencing, these are the ways in which, or even quotation, using the exact words if you have to for definition purposes. So these are the common things that if you do, can keep you away from plagiarizing. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir. Okay, M. Raghu Raman. He asked, what is clone journal? Whether predatory and cloning are one and the same. So I suppose that first part has already been answered, that what is a clone journal. If you could shed some light on whether predatory and cloning are one and the same.
No, they're not. They're not the same thing. The methodology is different here. Say, for example, let's see the group 1 clone journals, right? So like Title Abru or Adhigam, these are Hindi journals. Let me just take you through. There may be other journals as well. I can see more of Hindi journals. Okay, Kala, the Journal of Indian Art History Congress. Okay, so click here for predatory content. Click here for original content. So this is, you can say that maybe in one way predatory is also in the whole umbrella thing. If I talk about the umbrella concept, then predatory does include cloned, the way they have put in there. So you can see this is the original title of the journal where everything is fine. Again, somebody is annotating, and this is the one which is predatory. Okay, so you can look into for both the contents. Are they same? So I would say predatory is a more universal, not universal, maybe an umbrella term which includes clone journals. So I think that answers your question.
Yes, sir. A different question other than research, and I think your experience as an editor to one of the journals would be helpful for him. Dr. M. Muhammad, he says, how to start a new journal?
Very good question. I think we need more journals because we have, I'll quickly tell you, but before I just give you a prelude here, that most of the journals are now rejecting, even if your article is, good in scope, is aligned with the scope of the journal, has done everything well, it's rigorous and everything, still they reject your, article on the pretext saying that we receive lot of articles and we have to accept only 1 or 2 or 3 or 5%, and therefore we have to reject your article. Okay, this is also some of the common wordings when your article is rejected. So yeah, we need more journals definitely, but those journals, how do you get through? So first thing is that you need to have an editorial board. Okay, editorial board of so first thing first, even before editorial board, you should know what you want to publish, what is the area in which you want to look into carefully, and then looking for those best people who can be your part of your editorial board. If you want to get your journal published in existing publishing houses, or if you want to do it independently, you will have to look into that also carefully, because there are a lot of publishing houses. Would they go in for publication of your journal? That is something which it can be questioned. The second thing is, after getting the editorial board, you'll have to design a website. There are people who can do it for you. So nowadays, we don't generally go for only print. We go in for print as well as the online submission, because if you want to get it indexed and abstracted later on through Google or Scopus or Web of Science or any of them, any of the abstracting or indexing websites, you have to get your article online. All right. So you need a online submission system. So if you get it through a renowned publisher, you can get it done easily. But if you want to do it all by yourself, it will take a time. I'll not say a lot of time. It's a process. If you understand the process, it will not take much time. So maybe we can connect offline for this question. Yeah, there are a lot of things to say.
Thank you, sir. Sir, because we've got time constraints, so if you allow me, I'll just take 2 more questions.
Sure.
And the other questions, I request the participants to take the discussion forward on the discussion forum, which is being provided on the portal. Okay, sir, are there any free plagiarism checking tools available?
See, there are. Okay, just put it on Google, you'll get it. But I don't recommend it. Okay. So why I don't recommend it, I'll tell you. First thing, that your work can be captured on the internet, and maybe it remains there on a database, and then when you actually submit it in a journal, that comes up as a self-plagiarized work. So don't do that. I recommend, though you have, if you're an organization, I think if it's recognized by the UGC, they also provide you with original. Okay. I think Urkund, yeah, Urkund or original now it's called. So that is provided. So maybe you can use this. All right, original. If not, I think nothing is better than this. But yeah, if you asked me about free, sorry, Turnitin. I'll just Turnitin. It's not free, but it's the best because it takes into consideration everything. So yeah, I don't want you to go in for free. You please use your organization for this purpose. If you are doing some funded research, use your funds for this purpose. Because as for Turnitin, if I have to tell you, then Turnitin is a very good similarity checker, because it takes into consideration published online as well as published offline. That means those books that we read, and even if they are not online, they even consider that. So if somebody wants to take in excerpts from those offline publications, they can do that, but they will still be caught in Turnitin. So, and there is a lot of difference, even if you go in for Urkund, that we called original or Turnitin results. So what will happen if you're just looking at the ones which are free? So I still advise you, if you have funds, if you have organizational support, going for the paid ones, because they are the more authentic. I've seen through the years. So yeah.
Okay, sir, one last question I'll take from here. UGC refereed or UGC approved journals are calculated in API or not?
Yes.
So I think
yes.
Okay. Okay, so I request the participants to pose their questions on discussion forum, and because of paucity of time, we won't be able to take it further. I wholeheartedly thank Dr. Vibhash for taking out time for us and taking this session. In fact, it has been a wonderful session and very interactive, as well as I suppose that the participants' attention has been drawn to certain key things that every researcher has to pay attention to. So thank you so much, sir, for joining us and patiently handling all the questions. We
Thank
look
you.
forward to hearing from you soon. Thank you
Thank you
so
so
much.
much. Thank you so much for
Thank you
having
to
me again. And I also thank all the participants for their insightful questions and queries. Thank you so much.
thank you, sir, and thank you to all the participants.